Hey, how you doing? I'm Barry. Welcome to the channel. Today, being a new quilter like I am, I figure there's a lot of people that are just like me and they don't know where to start. So I'm putting a little video together I call 10 essential tools for absolute beginners. And these are tools that I think that you need to get started. Maybe there's more for all you seasoned pros out there. You can comment below if I miss anything, but I'm going to start with these 10 items, and I think this is an inexpensive way to get started, and I think you will really enjoy it. So if you're sitting on the sideline debating whether you should try it, you probably have several of these things at home already, so you're already probably halfway there to starting to make your first quilt. So I'm going to start off with number one is rotary cutters. I got two rotary cutters here. This one was my first one I bought. I bought it with a kit, and I'll talk more about that kit in a little bit. But it was by, I hope I pronounced this right, by Fiskars. You can buy those at kits at Walmart. I think that's where I bought mine. Then I moved up here to Ofa, I think that's the way you pronounce it. These are 45 millimeter blades. That seems to be the standard blade in the quilting industry. They make a size bigger, and they probably make more than this, but I'm just aware of like a 60 millimeter, and then there's one below this one, like a 25 or 30. I'm not for sure, but 45 is it seems to be the standard for cutting. And don't forget to put your blade guard on when you're done. I got my first cut the other day, and let me tell you, it's like if you ever have a paper cut, that's what that was like. It wasn't very deep and it wasn't very long, but I think it still hurts to today. So a lesson learned: keep your guard on this. But this has been a game changer. And I remember when I helped my grandmother quilt when she was younger, we had to cut out with scissors, and so rotary cutter, they're cheap. I think these right here go for like $15, but you can buy them in a kit a lot cheaper. So that is that one. Okay, next on the list is self-healing cutting mats, and they come in various sizes from small like this to the large ones. Let's see if we can get these in here. Large. And you know what? These two actually, believe it or not, they're a little expensive, but probably between $30 to $50, maybe for this big one. My favorite, my favorite is my rotary cutting mat. So you can literally set your stuff on there and this thing spins around. This is my all-time favorite cutting mat that I like to use. But make sure that they are self-healing mats, and that way when you use your rotary cutters on them, they well, you don't want to do this on your dining room table, that's for sure. So make sure it's a self-healing rotary mat, and you're good to go. But that's two, I'd say that's two must-haves if you want to start quilting. Okay, number 3 on the list is clear acrylic rulers. These are cutting rulers, and there again, it's a combination of your cutting mat, your rotary blade, your rotary cutter, and your ruler. This helps you get straight lines. Most of the really good ones, make sure that they have in inch increments and half inch and quarter inch. The really good ones have the 45s and the 30 degrees on them. This is a 6 by 24 inch, and this is a really good one for cutting yardage and long pieces. And these, if you watch one of my other videos, you know that I'm starting to be a ruler hoard. But my favorite one is this little 4.5 by 4.5 square. This is great for making half square triangles and just different blocks with this. This is my favorite. So make sure you get yourself a good, at least if you're going to get anything, make sure you get the 6 by 24. But I also recommend picking up, maybe you can get a 6.5 by 6.5, or at the very least get your 4.5 by 4.5. You can do most of your traditional quilts with that. And there again, I bought this rule and this rotary cutter together as a package, and I think it was like $30 for the whole thing, so that's fairly reasonable. So let's get on to the next one. Number 4 is get yourself a good pair of fabric scissors, and whether you get you know, the plastic ones, I'm a big vintage fan, so I get these big heavy metal ones, but even a pair of these are great for snipping loose threads after you sew, and you will have loose threads when you quilt. These are really inexpensive, probably $5 to $10. These you can pick up for just a couple of dollars. This is also Fisker's. I would say this though, this is my lesson to myself. If you get some scissors, make sure they're dedicated for their use. Don't use these to cut paper. Don't use these to cut packages open that you get in the mail. You know, use these for your fabric, and then get you another pair to do all that other. But like I said, I have about a half a dozen of these old vintage scissors. I love them. And this is probably my go-to besides a rotary cutter for snipping threads. So I would say if you get anything, get you a pair of those. But yeah, a cheap pair, and you probably already have these. You probably already have a pair in your drawer at home. So just use those for now. I want you to be able to start without spending a lot of money. And I know that most everybody has a pair of scissors, but like I said, if you can at all possible, get a pair and dedicate them to your sewing room for fabric. Let's see what we got next. All right, I know you're never going to make a mistake. That's not going to be true. But get yourself a good seam ripper. And this, I don't know if you can see it, if you can't, but these are for taking out stitches out of your quilts that you're piecing together. And I guarantee you that you're going to piece one the wrong way, upside down, backwards, something, and you're going to need a seam ripper to get it undone. And these can run about as low as $4 or $5 up to, I've seen them as high as $15 to $20 if you get the ones with the fancy little balls on them and stuff. But you will make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes, but this is the way you fix it. This is Mr. Fix It. And I'm going to throw this one in with that, is an awl. And look, they match. Got matching colors. I would say you would get this to help push fabric underneath your foot. So this comes in handy. But you're definitely going to need a seam ripper. And as a bonus, get yourself an awl. And that will help you greatly. Or at least it does me. Let's see what's next. I got to keep looking at my computer. All right, number 6. You're going to need pins or clips. These are called Wonder Clips. They're just little tiny clips. I don't know how long these have been around, maybe 10 years or so, but you know, it used to be the standard was all just pins and everybody pins. I don't like to get stuck all the time with pins, so I try to clip whenever possible. But you probably will, more than not, need pins. So if you have a choice between the two, get the pins. But I like to do the clips because, like I said, I don't like getting stuck. And you have to get a little tomato. Everybody has to have a tomato. Put their pin cushion with a little strawberry. And they told me this is for sharpening your pins. But yeah, pins and clips. They call them Wonder Clips. They're really fairly inexpensive, and there again, you probably have pins at home. I don't know, but they're not very much, a couple bucks. The clips are a little more expensive, but you can get like 100 of them for like $10. And I recommend, personal preference, the clips. Let's go on to number 7. Now this one probably has a little bit of controversy, only because there's so many different variations. It's which one you pick is, and it's personal. All this is personal preference. I don't think there's any right or wrong of anything that you pick, as long as it works for you. But the next on the list is needles. You have to get a good needle. I prefer the 90/14s for quilting and piecing. I use the one needle for both, but there's a lot of debate about that. There's a lot of people will tell you you got to use a different needle for quilting and a different needle for piecing. I like simple. I use the 90/14, unless you're doing something like denim, and these are actually for a denim, and these are 130 over, I think these over 70, and I've got these for doing hopefully I'm going to do a jean quilt soon. But get yourself some good needles. There again, look around on the internet to find out. Like I said, I recommend the 90/14. Read the comments below, because I guarantee you everybody has their own preferences of what needles to get. And then again, not very much money. This is whether you hand sew, a hand quilt, or machine quilt. You're going to need needles. So that's why I threw that in there as one, because regardless if you have a machine, you're going to need a needle. That brings me up to the next one, thread. There again, this is another one that everybody has a different opinion on. You can get them in different colors. You can get them in different, what they call weights. You can get it between being 100% cotton versus a cotton polyester. Personally, I use a 40 weight cotton polyester. Superior Omni is the brand that I use. And I try to get gray, because I was told, and it seems to work for me, that gray fits in with most quilts regardless. So I like to get one color does it all. Just like my needles, one color does all. Like I said, you can get multiple colors. They even have thread that the thread is multiple colors. A little pricey on that, but you can do it. There again, there's some people that only buy 100% cotton. There's other people like me that don't mind the cotton polyester. The weights, some people say 40 weight is okay. Other people say you got to use 50 weight. So there again, if you know, comment down below what you use. But I personally use the 40 weight gray, and it's been working for me so far. That's all I can say. I bet you have this one at home already, but you're going to need a good iron. I got this. I have 3 irons, and I can't find one. But you're going to need a good iron here. This is a little Alicio Mini, and it comes with a little pad. You can just set this right on the pad. Be careful of your work surface, because some of these can put heat right on there and warp your tables. So make sure you have a surface that can take the heat, or you have some kind of protection underneath there so you don't warp it. But you need a good iron for pressing all your seams, and this is going to be actually one of the most used things that you do. I also have a cordless iron, which I love this thing, because it sits right here on a mat, and it's cordless. I can do all my ironing. I don't got to worry about a cord. This is a little pricey. This is probably close to $150 for this. But like I said, you can go to your retail store and probably pick up an iron for $20 to $30. So start there, and then later on, if you want to, work your way up to the cordless. And speaking of that, give me just a second here. You probably have that, but if you don't, get yourself a little ironing board here. You know, just something like this that you can use to piece on. You know, because I'm telling you, if you've never quilted or pieced before, this is probably a third of your time is pressing. I'm guessing. But along with that one is a pressing mat. Now these are wool. These have become popular, but there again, they will allow heat to come through. So make sure whatever surface you're on can withstand the heat, or you've got to put something underneath it. I have another ironing mat that I like to do. I bought this at a retail store. It will not let the heat go through, but I usually set it down here and put the wool mat right on top of it, and there I don't have any problems with heat. But get yourself a good iron and a good pressing mat. And now we're drum roll, number 10. I've been waiting on this one. All right, this is another item you may or may not already have, but I bet you have a relative or a friend that will loan you one. But it is a sewing machine. Contrary to what you think, you do not need a fancy sewing machine to start out. This was my first machine. I still use it. It is a great machine, and I probably paid, $150 for it brand new. But you could probably go onto Facebook Marketplace or someplace else and probably pick one of these up used for under $100. And as long as they do a straight line stitch, you know, that's the great thing about quilting. There's two rules. It has to straight line stitch and get you a quarter inch foot, and you can go to town. And I love it. So you don't need a $1,000 sewing machine. Like I have a Juki that I paid like $700 for. That was my Christmas gift to myself. But this one is fine. This one is more than fine. It has everything that I really need to do. Matter of fact, this has some zigzag stitches in it and stuff that you can do applique work on it. So I still use this machine. So that's it. That's my list of 10 items. There's probably a few more. So if any of you that quilt regularly have anything else to add, but these are the essentials I think that you need to get started. Probably not a lot of money, maybe the sewing machine, but like I said, I think most people either have a sewing machine or have access. Borrow one from a friend or relative just temporarily, just to see if you like it, but I guarantee you if you do, you will like this hobby. It is a great hobby. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you start quilting, because it's a great hobby. And like I always say, go out and make memories, and I will see you later. Bye.